This is Hip Hop Movie Club, the show for serious hip hop fans who want to deepen their cultural knowledge. We've watched over 75 hip hop themed films, and in this episode, we will break down the revolutionary and controversial rap group N.W.A.
So Boogie, why don't you go ahead and express yourself? Tell us a little bit about the group, its original members, and how it branched off and left a huge legacy.
Yeah, so we all know N.W.A, the controversial rap group out of Compton, California, comprised of members Ice Cube, MC Ren, Eazy-E, DJ Ella, Dr. Dre, and Arabian Prince, the original members. But most people don't even know that Arabian Prince was a member. But I mean, I'm going to give him his props because he was in the group. We're going to talk about how they came on the map and revolutionized what West Coast hip hop meant, not only to the United States, but also to the world. They spoke unapologetically about where they came from and what they experienced in their neighborhood, and also how they were treated. And the lyrics were raw, gritty, unfiltered. They hit hard. From that era coming up, you had to know who they were. Like, it was a point in time where I actually thought I was a member of the group. I dressed in all black, had my either a Raiders cap on or a Kings hat or a White Sox hat, because I loved the way they just spoke from the heart about what they dealt with. Because, I mean, even on the East Coast, there were some parallels to our life's experiences growing up in the hood. But not only was this group successful, it spawned solo careers for several of its members. They're still active. Ice Cube, still active as an MC, still putting out good music. Eazy-E, the late Eazy-E, who unfortunately passed away due to contracting HIV and which later developed into AIDS. But he had a thriving solo career as well. Dr. Dre, producer extraordinaire. I mean, if you want to work with a top-notch producer, Dre is he's in the Mount Rushmore of hip-hop producers easily. And he had a solo rap career as well. But let's talk about some of the impact of these solo artists. All right, so let's start off with Ice Cube. Ice Cube was a penman for N.W.A, wrote a lot of the lyrics due to complications with dealing with the management style of Jerry Heller and in Eazy-E. He decided to leave the group and went on his solo career. But he actually had a very successful solo career, like I mentioned, forming the Lynch Mob, working with the West Side Connection, influential on the West Coast hip hop scene, and also in hip hop in general. From there, he has a very successful acting career. I'm not going to talk about every movie, but some of his notables was Boys in the Hood, Anaconda. He spawned the Friday franchise, 3 funny movies, and there's talks of a 4th installment on the way. Then he has the Are We There Yet movie, became family-friendly Ice Cube, and it spawned a sequel as well. Then we have the Barbershop series. There's 3 of those movies, plus 1 spinoff. And it all actually ended up spawning a television series as well. And then there's Ice Cube, the entrepreneur. I mean, currently right now, he's now the owner and face of the Big 3 basketball league. Very successful 3-on-3 basketball league that gives a platform to retired NBA players as well as former college players who want to go play. And they have games all over the country, and it's televised. So, I mean, it's been going on for a few years now, so kudos to him for that. Eazy-E, as I mentioned, had a strong solo career as well as rapping alongside N.W.A. And I think one of his biggest notables, other than his own career, was helping to discover and found the group Bone Thugs and Harmony, who went on to spawn a very successful rap career as well. They came out of the Cleveland, Ohio area. So Eazy-E's impact on hip-hop, with forming a group in Ruthless Records and bringing on Bone Thugs and Harmony onto the scene is very impactful to hip-hop. They had a completely different style than anyone else at the time. If you put one of their songs right now, a lot of people, they're going to hum it or mumble it or something, but they're going to go with it because they know that their songs are popular.
It's the first of the month.
Yeah, catchy stuff.
Meet you at the crossroads. Yeah, those are great.
It was so big, man. It was so big that Big had to bring them on one of his songs. And Big was at the time the top of the food chain. He said, I got to give these guys one of my hits. And Big even changed his flow to match their flow, which was at the time was almost unheard of. Because Big was rapping, his style was his style, but he changed his style to match their style, which was kind of dope. So let's talk about Dr. Dre. He brought one of his guys out of Texas who went on to have a pretty successful rap career until a car accident actually ended up making him lose his voice. I'm talking about the one and only DOC. He actually had a relationship as well as helped spawn the career of Michelet, the singer. After deciding to leave the group, Dr. Dre went on to co-found Death Row Records with Suge Knight, also discovering the likes of the legendary Snoop Dogg, who everybody knows right now, who in turn had his own crew, the Dog Pound. Snoop is also going on to star in various television and film roles. Too many to name. He pops up in commercials all the time. He's a pop culture icon. I mean, he's had a long-standing public friendship with Martha Stewart, of all people. And I mean, to see the two of them, you could tell it is genuine. It's not scripted at all. Most recently, during the Summer Olympics, Snoop Dogg was there. He was ambassador. He was all over the place and everything, just meeting and greeting with everyone. I mean, who doesn't love Uncle Snoop?
He and Flavor Flav were the face of the Olympics. Like, hip-hop
absolutely
leaves its fingerprints everywhere.
Right. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do once the Summer Games go back to LA. It's going to be a whole extra level of, Snoop Dogg in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And now we talk about one of our members of the Mount Rushmore of hip hop films, Tupac Shakur. A lot of people consider Tupac the greatest MC ever, or the greatest rapper of all time. Which side of the fence you fall on, you can't deny his impact on the game and how influential he was to hip hop in general, just off of the type of figure he was, his lyrics, his presence to the game. He also went on to spawn a very successful, though short-lived due to the fact that he was taken from us prematurely. He had a very thriving movie career that was taken off. He started a long string of good films, which is why we placed him on our Mount Rushmore. Dr. Dre also went on, after leaving Death Row, to form Aftermath Records. And this brought us one of the greatest MCs that I've heard. There's no denying it. Eminem, a lyrical juggernaut, who also went on to found his own label, Shady Records. But M wraps circles around most people's favorite MCs. He's just good. He's got his conglomerate called the Slaughterhouse, composed of some very good MCs. And then we also have 50 Cent, another dope MC. Whether you like him or not, you can't deny when he came in with that Get Rich or Die Trying, that album. I still consider that album a classic. Every song on there had me nod in my head when it came on. And when he hit the scene, 50 Cent's influence, he actually had a group as well, G-Unit, composed of himself, Tony Yayo, Lloyd Banks, and Young Buck. All three of them also have solo rap albums, solo careers. Not as successful as 50 Cent, but successful in their own right. He also brought on another MC out of the LA area, The Game, who also had a nice, though short-lived solo run, but he still pops up on songs every now and then. So, I mean, he's still around. He's still spitting some heavy lyrics. 50 Cent's impact is also extended to television and film. He has the Powerverse, as I like to call it, which started off with his television show Power and is extended to different spin-offs. There's too many for me. I can't even keep up with it. Every time I turn on television, there's another one coming out. And also BMF. And it's talks that he's got other ones down the pipeline. Those are pretty much what I've come up with as far as the impact. But like I said, they're still rapping hard, rapping strong. And the influence, definitely put that area on the map.
Amazing breakdown, Boogie. Thanks for educating the audience here on the influence of N.W.A, how it spawned so many legends that are still prominent today. But N.W.A, I remember when they burst on the scene in the late 80s, and they were like shot out of a cannon. They had a meteoric rise. But like you said, super raw, unfiltered. And I don't think American society was really ready for it. And we had never seen anything or heard anything so aggressive like that. And so it was marked with controversy. People were saying that they were glorifying violence, and that there's no denying that the lyrics were misogynistic, homophobic, and violent. There's no denying that. They spit the raw truth of what they saw in their neighborhoods. So I think what happens is, if this stays underground, like, people don't say it, but then when it hits folks like myself, we get like the white suburban types, and it's like, oh, this is going to influence people. But they were selling records upon records, and people just couldn't get enough of it because they had a great lyrical flow. But first of all, the the acronym N.W.A, controversial in itself for what it stands for, but that was like the least of the controversies because they had,
Right.
you would think that was like, oh my God, I can't believe that it stands for that, right? But obviously, the F the police is the number one source of controversy because the institution of the police, the Fraternal Order of Police, they were like, we cannot promote violence against the police, even though there's been obviously many recorded instances of, and still happening today, of police brutality against minorities specifically. But still, they were all up in arms and they declared a boycott of any musical group that advocated assaults. You had the government get involved. Tipper Gore was one of the most vocal about trying to censor N.W.A. So yeah, they were definitely marred with a lot of controversy back then. Is this okay? Is it not? Shortly, they already had the controversy with the parental advisory. I think 2 Live Crew was the first to feel that wrath and have that label stuck on it. And I know Luke Skywalker was adamant to protest that. You could see how folks would be upset about that. And then we saw in the movie Straight Outta Compton how they were told not to perform F the Police live in Cincinnati and Detroit, and they just continued on with it. And then the riots ensued at those concerts, etc. Yep, that was one of the biggest controversies there. But more controversy would come, and then you would see internal feuding among members. And not to give it away because we're going to be showing Straight Outta Compton stuff, but you see how things got real nasty between Cube and Eazy-E and Dre, and then it was a short-lived, the group itself, and then you saw they spawn onto the solo careers, etc. By 91, the big beef between Ice Cube and the rest of the crew escalated, and the group formally disbanded in 91 as well. So, Dynamite, you want to take us through a little bit about the film itself, Straight Outta Compton?
Sure. So, for the most part, most people think that the movie, it's about 80% accurate. They do take some creative liberties. This is F. Gary Gray, the director, and depending on who you ask, some things are depicted mostly accurately, and some things have been rearranged to make it a better-looking story. Some things like Cube really did smash up Brian Turner's Priority Records office with a baseball bat after not getting money he was promised, and Cube really did leave N.W.A because of the dispute over royalties with Jerry Heller, the manager of N.W.A. And Suge Knight really did beat up Eazy-E, and Eazy-E wanted to get back at him and kill him, and Jerry Heller talked him out of it, to which he regretted later. They did get arrested in Detroit after performing F the Police, but it actually wasn't because of the police directly. They played the song because they were mad at the tour promoter, and they actually made it back to the hotel before getting arrested. And Cube to this day says that the police really just wanted autographs. They weren't that upset about it. And that the riot that happened after the show was because of the venue turning the amplifiers off, not because of the police per se. So it's mostly accurate. It's accurate enough. There's lots of other things that were in the film that are mostly true. They did get a letter from the FBI taking exception with their music, but the FBI walked it back. They weren't really supposed to be infringing on First Amendment rights. In the film, that they are shown being harassed by the police, which did happen, according to Jerry Heller, but that wasn't the direct cause of them writing the song F the Police. Cube had been working on that for a while, but he kind of sat on it until after Dre finished his weekend prison time, because he had a lot of traffic tickets he had to work off. So it wasn't a direct connection between, we got harassed, let's write this song. Cube was already penning that in the background. Cube says that he left the group on his own, but Jerry Heller says that the other members voted him out. So he said.
Right.
As Eazy-E is dying, you see this reunion between him and Dre and Cube. It didn't actually happen. He died before they could actually reconcile in person. There's that. What people have criticized this film about was some of Dr. Dre's misogyny and his treatment of women, to which he's apologized many times and has denounced his previous behavior, but it's not really in there as much as people would think it would be an accurate description of what that was like back then.
The Dee Barnes incident, we've talked about that in the past, and that was wild, and some people will never get over that. And It's
Right.
interesting how, like, with the Me Too movement, how some people stay above the fray and, like, they don't really get retribution. And, it's a personal judgment. Like, we're judged by a higher power, if you believe that, right? So, but not for me to say, but it is interesting that some of the misogyny and, even the lyrics. So lyrics are one thing, and I know Snoop Dogg did a lot of misogynist stuff in a lot of rap acts do as well. But the actual physical assault, which that's hard to swallow for a lot of folks.
Right.
Yeah. He has apologized, so there's that, but there's a lot of sort of amnesia about all of that. It is hard to, you have to consider this was, him as a 25-year-old is a different person than him as a very grown adult. It's a personal judgment call, I guess. And that's why this criticism of the film comes up, because you don't get this full picture of what happened back then. So make of that what you will. And the final thing I'll say is that in the film, they portray Eazy-E as being kind of broke when he died, or definitely broke. But according to other sources, he was fine. He was sitting on some stacks, so he was okay. Sometimes there's creative license that happens, and it makes for a good story. And it did actually do well. It was fairly highly rated on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, and generally very positive reviews from the mainstream film criticism writers. Here and there, people think it was a mixed bag, but it's definitely entertaining, and it's good to see on the big screen for the 10th anniversary coming up at Steel Stacks.
November 13th.
Message.
Right on. Yeah, I think the film was well done. If you're a hip-hop head, it's a must-see. Most hip-hop heads, I think, have seen it.
Yeah. I thoroughly
I'll say that the
enjoyed it.
performances of O'Shea Jackson as Ice Cube and Corey Hawkins as Dr. Dre are really good.
Yeah.
I think O'Shea Jackson Jr. has a head start. Having lived some of this, and has go right to the source, his own father. But yeah, Paul Giamatti as Jerry Heller, like, he's great in everything, right? Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Catch him in this. Catch him in this.
Yeah. And it's so funny, like, Corey Hawkins, like, I know his name, but I never call him by his name. No matter what it is, Dr. Dre. That's his name now. I don't even call him his name, which is so sad. I feel so bad for it, but I can't help it. Every time I see him, I always call him Dr. Dre.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of him as Benny on the Dispatch from In the Heights. He has such a great role in that also. Yeah, because I'm such a stan in the Heights. Yeah, but N.W.A. Without N.W.A., you wouldn't see nearly as much, I guess, protest rap. And I know there's a long lineage, and he did inspire folks like Kendrick Lamar. After Police became a protest type song. And, we're talking about 1989 when this was popular, and then you have Fight the Power was out of it at the same time. It even says something, 1989, this summer, right? Mm-hmm. So this was like really like a powder keg of protest rap, which we had not seen in the past. I mean, there were songs when you're talking about Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mel, The Message and stuff like that, talking about the streets but as far as like protesting against authority, I think this broke the mold.
Shining a light on this condition and stuff like that was not seen and turned out to be quite lucrative for record labels, and because it's what those of us in suburban America wanted to see, that kind of stuff, wanted to listen to that kind of music. It
was different. It was unique. And I was reading some articles from the BBC about the legacy of N.W.A. And there was a quote, I think it was, maybe Cube had the quote saying, everybody loves an outlaw, like Billy the Kid, Al Capone. So these guys were the outlaws. Like you said, wearing the silver and black. The Raiders are like the outlaw franchise of NFL, the Renegades. And hip-hop didn't really have that character, so to speak, characterization of the renegade or the outlaw. And so people adopted it.
Yep. Man, everybody loves the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I said, I thought I was a member, man. I either had a Raiders hat on or a Kings hat. I still come across one. I might toss it to you off of the
Let's see
YouTube
it.
video.
Let's see it.
Yeah. But one thing I forgot to mention, I just realized, in talking about the family tree is also the name of the title for their final compilation album.
Mm-hmm.
And it featured all 4 of the original 6 members of N.W.A, as well as guest performances by the West Side Connection, Snoop Dogg, and Exhibit. And it was released in September of 2008. So it's like, wow, talk about the family tree. And their final compilation album was called Family Tree. And I also forgot to mention it. I mean, I mentioned the West Side Connection, but I got to give them Dub C, Mac 10, and all Ice Cube. I got to get them their names because they did dope. And the dog, same thing with Dog Pound, Daz and Corrupt. Just dope MCs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, their orbit is quite large and impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really held down the gangster rap from the East Coast.
Yeah.
It wasn't Del the Funky Homo Sapien related to one of the guys as well? I think.
Yeah, there is a connection.
There's a connection there.
There's a connection.
It was Cube.
It was Ice Cube. Okay.
He wrote for the Lynch Mob. So.
Okay. Yeah. And Beats by Dre. Like, how much money has Dre made with his?
Yeah.
An actual billionaire.
Billionaire. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk it? What was even more impressive is because of the misogyny and the explicit lyrics, they were like number 1 on the charts for a while without any radio play or real support from MTV.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of support from MTV.
It's hard to do. Not many groups can do that.
Long before the days of streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
No streaming, no YouTube. Yeah.
Basically them and Metallica before the Black Album. Not a lot of radio play and still selling gold records, going platinum.
Yeah. And we talked about a similar concept with Wu-Tang Clan, right? Wu-Tang didn't, because they had that feud with Hot 97 as well. So
yeah,
they got like hardly any radio play. They just did it on their own and they just became, it was underground swelling of popularity. When you're that dope and impactful, it becomes a thing. I do remember seeing N.W.A though, like on UMTV Raps. They got some.
Especially Express Yourself.
Express Yourself a lot. I remember the black and white video. Yeah.
100 Miles of Running got a bit of play too, but definitely Express Yourself. That song came out. That was embedded in my skull. It just kept coming on. I love that sample.
Yep. Thanks for tuning into the Hip Hop Movie Club show. I'm Dino Wright, filmmaker, designer, longtime hip hop fan, and the last street out of my neighborhood is Compton Way. So when I leave my house, I leave straight out of Compton.
So great.
Oh, that's dope.
I'm JB, 80s and 90s nostalgia junkie, longtime hip-hop fan. And I remember when N.W.A stood for the National Wrestling Alliance, where Ric Flair became a star. Woo! And I was today years old when I learned that Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins now owns this franchise.
And I'm Boogie, a DJ, longtime hip-hop fan. And I know I mentioned this during our Straight Outta Compton episode, but I went to the Harlem screening for the movie, sponsored by Hot 97 and WBLS. And I got to hang out with Laura Styles and DJ Nuff from Hot 97. Great experience.
Join us Thursday, November 13th at the Frank Banco Ale House Cinemas at Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, PA, as the Hip Hop Movie Club screens Straight Outta Compton. Surprise! 10th anniversary screening. You'll not want to miss the story of the world's most dangerous rap group on the big screen.
And remember, don't hate. Checkmate.
Oh, game over.
Yes.
You play chess while they're playing checkers.
Yeah.
Game over.